Today we recreate Mourinho's treble-winning tactics of Inter Milan, and trust me, you need to give this tactic a go. If you guys do enjoy the videos on this channel, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. But let's waste no more time and get right into the testing phase. And yeah, trust me, it's going to blow your mind. So, since this tactic is all about Inter Milan, it's only right we test with Inter Milan, and we're going to test with two versions of Inter Milan, one old school, one modern day. Who does better? I'll let you guys predict it. But let's go over and look at the modern day Milan. And that is going to be a very, very good season. It's actually going to be a treble winning season, funny enough. Winning the Champions League against Liverpool, winning the Serie A, obviously over in Italy, and also the Italian Super Cup against AC Milan. Always a little bit sweeter when it is against a direct rival. 95 goals scored, only 19 conceded. And in terms of the actual league table, we actually had a 10-point advantage over Torino, who find themselves inside at second place. So a really strong season for us here. Can't really complain at all. We're going to go ahead right now and look at some of the team stats as well. And it is really, really positive. Pretty much this system, you're not going to have loads of possession traditionally. It might not even have the best pass completion. It's a very sort of fluid counter-attack, I like to call it. And as you can see, that's pretty much what we managed to do. Scoring the most goals, which is really impressive. Having lots of shots. Defending really well. 23 clean sheets and only conceding 19, which is quite a big difference compared to Lazio, who conceded 35. So essentially when I knew this tactic was working really well, is when you're seeing these stats coming in being your best performers. It's purely defending and scoring. To be honest, these ones in the middle was in best pass completion, most possession, not really a worry. In fact, if we click on this, 52%. So as you can see, I'm not hiding it. It's not really meant to be a possession-based tactic, and it's not affecting the results at all because it's not how we designed to play football. Especially, it's not really a Mourinho-based tactic if you're getting, 64% of the ball. But the whole aim of this is to obviously defend really well, break on the counter, and then once you've got a couple of goal lead, just drain the team out by pretty much just sitting back, letting them put loads of pressure on, and again, keep counter-attacking. And that's how it works so well. Going over to the data hub though, the stats look really, really good over here as well. 2.5 goals per game, conceded at 0.5, pass completion 85.86%, an absolute ton of shots on the goal per game as well. Shots per game at 23.24. The shots on target ratio, not incredible, but there again, it's not really an issue. We don't have work ball into the box on, as we are just counter-attacking, trying to grab a goal to obviously get ahead and then defend and seal the game out. We are going to go and have a look at the squad screen as well, because we are going to see who got the majority of the goals, and that is going to be Lorato Martinez with 41 goals. If you were to put a bet on it, would be him or Lukaku, right? Lukaku coming in with 19. A good loan season out with Piemonte, by the way, there. So if you are an Inter Milan fan, promising signs. Halanoglu coming in with 17 as well. 13 for Skriniar. Correa coming in with 11. 5 for Barella. And Carboni coming in with 4. In terms of what is going to be the assists, we've got Halanoglu with 33, enjoying a very good season. 17 for Correa, 11 for Barella, Mkhitaryan with 10, 9 for Carboni, DeMarco with 9, 5 for Dumfries. And you know what? I'm actually impressed with this because I wasn't expecting there to be lots of goals going in with this tactic, because at the end of the day, it is a very defensive-based tactic. It's very counter-attacking. And in FM especially, counter-attacking tactics either are really good or really bad. And this obviously is a really good one, because we do put up really good numbers. 40 plus goals for one player. We then got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 with over 10 goals in the season. And in terms of the assists, we've got quite a few coming in with over 10. A couple contributing quite high towards 10 as well. So a really, really good season in terms of not only what we've won, the league stats, the data hub, but also the squad stats. A pretty much flawless season. And it's only right we watched some highlights from this, and we have picked up a 4-0 win over Juventus, which is obviously one of the better teams in this league, as Correa cuts it back into Bellavona, who takes a touch, drives inside, and actually has a crack, and it's an outrageous strike from what I believe is going to be the fullback. Keeper completely caught off guard, and a very, very great finish there. As we do put a little bit of light pressure on Juventus here, and we are going to win it back. Correa in behind. Lorato hits it off the line, and that is a rocket. I mean, is that Szczesny in goal? I imagine it is. It's always a nightmare clicking. I believe it is Szczesny in goal. It's Perrin in goal, should I say. Do you know what? That is absolutely incredible stuff. The fact it's even had a strike there, what a goal to show. I picked this game at random, by the way. Absolutely incredible. As we win the flick on there. Correa again with it's literally the team of long shots. And you know what? This is one of the few tactics I've not had work the ball into the box on, or sort of, you know, telling the players to be more cautious with their shots. And one thing I've noticed, and what I really like, is the fact that you do see these shots get taken when you don't restrict the players to, you know, having shots only inside the box, etc., etc. You let players who potentially have got really good long shots have those long shots, and you do score lots of good goals outside the box, as we've seen 2 really good goals this game. Obviously, nothing's going to top the first one we saw, or the second goal, as Carboni puts a back stick into Halanoglu, into the right-hand corner, and that is going to be a very comfortable, almost too easy game against a very strong Juventus side. We then go over and test on the 98 database, which, by the way, if you've not used, do download it and do give it a whirl, because it's a lot of fun to play with. And we actually had a really good season over here as well, winning the Champions League, which I'm going to show you in a second. Also winning the Serie A, runners-up in the Supercoppa Italia, I'm going to butcher that, against AC Milan, scoring 116 goals, conceding only 22. And we did have a little bit of help with the goals. Obviously, anyone that is football knowledgeable and you know what you're on about, you know who we're going to have up top in this team. We have got R9. He's an absolute monster on this database, so it definitely did help there. But still, putting up quite some good stats and winning some decent trophies. In terms of the actual team stats, we are going to go ahead and look at some of them. And again, it's going to be pretty much the same. Obviously, football was a lot different back then, so we actually do end up with the most possession as well, or tied with, well, it's going to be 2 teams. Very weird, 3 teams all coming in with 59% of the ball. So I wouldn't actually say this is entirely accurate, the possession factor. You won't really dominate the ball as much as we did with this team, especially if you are playing on today's football database, so the normal one. So obviously a lot of teams have changed, the way the style's changed, so that is probably not entirely full-on accurate, so we're not going to pay attention to that stat. The rest of them, though, we are, because you can do that with pretty much any team in the game playing this way. Most points per game at 2.79, most goals at 116, most shots at 800, fewer shots at 209, and the fewest conceded coming in at 22. So a really good season, obviously, over here in Italy. Unfortunately, not having the most clean sheets, 2 behind Juventus. They have got an incredible team, obviously, back then. And to be fair, today, it's not all doom and gloom either. It's a little bit of doom, but not the end of the world. In terms of the data hub, we are going to look at a very good set of stats. 3.41 goals per game, conceded at 0.65, pass completion at 86.45%. Again, very similar pattern here. 23.53 shots per game, a bit more on target as well over, obviously, previously. I don't know how to sort of describe this database. Obviously, back in the day, some of their attack on players were definitely a lot more better than necessarily what they've got now. So it was sort of expected that we were going to score more goals and also have a little bit more shots on target as well. And we are going to look at some of them players now, because they are utterly incredible. Let's go have a look. I mean, look at it. Look at it. It's absolutely ridiculous. We'll have Ronaldo with 77, Baggio with 20, 19 for Vitola, Yori with 12 as well. I mean, realistically, this team is absolutely... it's just incredible. Is this the best team on the 98 database? Let me know in the comments. It's got to be up there. I mean, this guy is literally the perfect striker. Going over to the assists, again, a very similar story. 27, 25, 17, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 8. So we've got 1, 2, 3. We've got 3 players with 8 assists. We've got 2 with 9, 1 with 10, and then 3 players over 17 or above. So a lot of players getting involved with the goals. A lot of players scoring a decent amount of goals as well. Obviously, in this one, majority of the load is going to be carried by R9, because that's just what he does. But do you know what? Really happy with how this has gone in terms of what we've won over 2 saves and how it sort of plays. Now, I am going to see some comments. Going to respond to a comment before it's even been commented. Why we've tested with Inter Milan only is because this video is specifically made to replicate Inter Milan's treble-winning season. So, for example, we're just going to clear this up now. If I do a Mourinho tactic out of anything, like just a Mourinho formation, I'll test with teams it's been at. Tottenham, United, Roma. But if you guys want to see a specific season where it's just at one club, I will test it with teams that club was literally it. So current team and also a team on the 98 database. Whenever I upload a tactic that is a generic tactic, that being Ultimate 4-2-3-1 or, you know, Ultimate 4-3-3, etc., etc., I then do tests with underdog teams. But whenever I do manager sort of recreations, I like to keep the video themed by using that relevant team. It just makes it feel a lot more personal when you talk about the tactic and also break down the results. I mean, I'm going to watch a game in the Champions League actually against Ajax, because Ajax were they still are a very good team. An even better team back in the day. Edwin van der Sar in goal, actually, in a 5-0 win, actually at home as well, which obviously I say it like it's a disadvantage. It is an advantage, but still a very impressive result against this team, as it is going to be none other than R9 that gets the goal score and tally off inside of 2 minutes and 15 seconds. We go again inside of 7 minutes here, as he's going to cut back out on the left-hand side into West, who takes a touch, drives us, puts the ball into the box, into R9, and this guy's like the current Haaland. Whenever he's in the box, he's got to score. No questions asked at all. A long goal kick here gets played all the way over the top into R9, flicks it down. A great first touch here. A great give and go between the two players there. R9 through again. And how about that? A hat-trick inside of 40 minutes. Not many players can do that. West again driving up from the back. It is going to be a disgusting challenge here. We do play on. A great ball into the mix again, into R9. Van der Sar a bit nervous of collecting the crosses, I must say. But again, a really good ball into the box. A great finish from R9. And we're seeing how a lot of these goals are created from the wide areas, getting driven back into the centre. And Zanetti, absolute icon, plays a ball into Baggio, who finishes off an incredible 5-0 win. So we are now going to break down the tactic for you guys. But if you have enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like, subscribe, and also drop a little comment if you want a certain team, a certain season replicated, or just a generic tactic. You want to see the most attacking tactic, whatever you want, drop a little comment. If it picks up some good response, i.e. people liking on it, I'll definitely add it to the list, and we'll get creating some tactics, guys. Why not? But let's go ahead and talk tactics and break down Mourinho's treble winning Inter Milan team. So, this is going to be Mourinho's treble 4-2-3-1. I do want to quickly thank all of the names coming down the screen right now. These are going to be new or existing Patreon members. It's a great way to support the channel, and also you get some pretty cool perks for yourselves as well, including early access, so you could have actually seen this already. 3 variants, which you are going to see above here, being a normal variant, attacking, and defensive variant, all simplified into one download. You're also going to get one-on-one tactic help with you guys, priority in your rebuild and tactic requests, follows on social medias, and also much more. So definitely check it out in the description below. But let's go ahead and talk about this tactic. So, going to kick things off then. It's going to be built around a custom fluid counter-attack style. Pretty much sums up Mourinho down to a T. As you can see, it is based around your average 4-2-3-1. There's just a few things in here which might be slightly different to what the typical person might use in a 4-2-3-1, these two being two of those. So it is definitely worth watching and using, because it's definitely a different way that a 4-2-3-1 operates. A lot of people use a high press, tiki-taka for example. This is designed to soak up pressure and break, and it does a really good job. So we're going to have a positive mentality in possession, fairly wide, pass into space, and shorter passing directness. This is always my go-to. I know some people like to have it on slightly shorter. For me, it's too wasteful, so I like to have shorter passing directness, but also have pass into space on, because this way you are calm on the ball, but when there is a good pocket of space, a player's got into it, your team won't be afraid to play into that space, and it will be a really good run. Slightly higher tempo and run at defense, obviously counter-attack and style, and alongside of that we're going to have mixed crosses. In transition, we've got counter press and also counter. Again, everything else is left blank because we're not really playing it out from the back. We haven't really got a target forward necessarily. And also this sort of triangle here, I guess you could have distribute to the playmaker inside of this sort of area here, but I just left everything blank because for me, nothing, after analysing it and watching it, nothing really pinpointed to sort of certain area of where he would typically distribute to. So that is why that is going to be blank. But if you want to really sort of customize it, I would recommend doing it to the playmakers. And out of possession, we're going to have a standard line, a mid-block line of engagement. The key thing about this system, get stuck in, and also more often. Now, for those of you guys that don't like a mid-block, you can change it, but at the end of the day, everyone knows that this sort of team way that he played on FM would be described as a mid-block, therefore it has to be used. And it did perform really, really well. Don't get me wrong, you probably would score more goals on a high pressing line, but as soon as you change that line, you're not really playing the Mourinho style. So, in my opinion, keep it. It works really, really well. But just to let you guys know, you can change it if you wish to. Going over to the player roles then, we are going to have a super keeper on support, a wing-back on support on cross from byline, aim the cross at the centre, shoot less often and stay wider. By the way, we are going to explain both sides in a second if you do get confused. A central defender on the default instructions and more direct passes on the right. Next to him, just a default central defender. On the left, we've got a wing-back on support, on cross from the byline, aim the cross at the centre, and shoot less often. A deep lying playmaker on defend, on tackle harder. A centre mid on automatic, on dribble more, get further forwards, close down more, and tackle harder. On the left, we've got a winger on attack, on aim the cross at the centre. In the middle, an attacker midfielder on support, on shoot less often, run from position, and also move into channels. And on the right-hand side, an inside forward on cross aim centre and shoot more often. And the reason why this wing-back is told to obviously stay wider is because when he gets tall, I want him to be wide, because this player here is obviously going to be more or less in this position, which would mean this fullback can essentially replace him as a winger and cause absolute issues out on that side. And to finish it off, an advanced forward on attack, on shoot more often. That is going to be the default version broken down. We're now going to go ahead and show you the attacking variant, where most of the changes are sort of done in the team instructions, and there isn't too much you can change because with this sort of style, the only way you can obviously make players more attacking, which is what we have done, but if you start changing obviously the pressing and things like that, you sort of take away the counter-attacking style, making it not a Mourinho tactic at all. So the only changes that we actually do, we are going to have a little memory refresher here, are going to be 3 changes in the team instructions. The deep lying playmaker obviously drops or goes to a supportive role, still on tackle harder. The centre mid goes to attack, on dribble more, close down, and also tackle harder. And the attacker midfielder stays on attack on the same instructions, obviously being run from position and move into channels. And the rest stays the same because, again, the wingers are quite attacking anyway. The advanced forwards obviously attacking. We don't want to overcommit the back line. And just those few changes there really add a bit of a boost. But the main thing that helps is the attacker mentality in possession. We've maxed out the tempo. This is something you can do because it doesn't really alter the way we play too much. But the one thing which I couldn't change, which we are going to talk about in a second, and you are going to understand why very easily because it does make a lot of sense. In transition, we've now gone for distribute quickly, a little bit more urgency in the game. But the one thing which I wanted to change, which I was going to, but I thought it's not really Mourinho tactic, was to get rid of this mid-block. Now, if you are desperate for a goal, I would do this because obviously I'm pretty sure if you're in a game, you're not going to be too fussed about if you're replicating the tactic perfectly. You just want to win, right? So if you do, you can obviously up the line a little bit. But just for this video's sake, being a Mourinho style, I didn't want to do it. So it does remain the same. We've maxed out the pressing and we have also remained on get stuck in. And that is going to be the main changes for the attacking variant. In terms of the defensive variant, there are quite a few changes. So this is what is going to happen then. So as you can see, quite a few changes. The wing-backs remain on the same instructions, the custom ones, so you can see them on the screen right now, but both of them are going to drop to defensive duties, as you can see here on the right and also on the left. The deep lying playmaker still remains on a defend duty on tackle harder, a centre mid on defend, on close down more on tackle harder. Essentially, what happens here is you actually end up having a back 6, which is really, really helpful because at the end of the day, this tactic is something you switch to late on in the game to seal out a game. You know, you're not really aiming to score goals when you play like this, simply to wind up the opposition, soak up pressure, and then still have enough firepower to go forward and break. Hence why we have kept these players still on quite attacking instructions, as in, you know, still cross the ball, etc, etc. But they are now both going to be on support, so they do drop back, help out defensively as well, but they're not as attacking as what they were in the start. This is going to be the inside forwards instruction, so again, on support on the default, on shoot more often and cross aim centre. The attacking midfielder stays exactly the same as what he was in the sort of default tactic, and the advanced forward also stays exactly the same. The mentality, however, drops to a nice balanced. In possession, we obviously slightly lowered the tempo compared to the attacking variant. We've still got run at defence on. The time wasting maxed all the way up into frequently. In transition, we are going to have slow pace down, a lot of time wasting going on. And out of possession, we've gone with the standard line. We've kept the mid block, but we've actually now got drop off more, invite the pressure on, soak up the pressure. They're either going to have a long shot, and if your keeper's somewhat decent, it's going to be saved or go wide or be blocked by one of the several players you've got defending. And it also is really good to set up those counter-attacks on. And that is going to be 3 variants of Mourinho's famous Inter Milan treble winning season. Probably one of the most memorable Mourinho teams ever. Let me know in the comments what your favourite Mourinho team ever was as well. If you guys have enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments how you get on with this tactic. I'll see you again this week for another. We've got probably another 2 tactics, and they're both absolute bangers.